Hello, everybody. It's Donna Corvada, and we are here again for another live Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Nathalie Pincham, and she is a visibility and business coach for female founders and emerging thought leaders, and also a podcast host. Her mission is to help soulful, ambitious female founders and coaches thrive while sharing their greatest gifts with the world through their work. And I'm just going to start with one thing that I pulled from your website because I would love to start the discussion with this. When you step into the spotlight, we're not just pushing our own businesses forward. We're igniting a larger vision, a thriving community of visionary entrepreneurs creating meaningful impact. Let's just dig in.
Yes, let's do that. It's so exciting. Thank you, Anna. I'm so excited to be here with you because we have so much in common and I love to talk about this. So this is going to be so fun. I love that you picked that out on my website because it is really the mission behind what I do. It's seeing, how when women are able to step more into visibility and own their gifts and really, speak up for them, for their gifts, that they create such an impact. There is really a ripple effect. And I know that from my own experience, because when I first started showing up and speaking and hosting workshops, I felt so, like, who am I? Who am I to be doing this? Who's going to want to listen to me? And then, a few years later, I would hear back, oh my gosh, I came to that workshop you did. It really lit this idea for me, or it really showed me that it was possible for me to start my own business and to see, that happening and see other women starting their own dream-driven business. I mean, for me, that's just so powerful. It just, the ripple effect into communities, into other people's lives is just extremely important.
Yeah. And one of the things that I have learned through doing these interviews for the last just about a year and a half now, is we forget who we are along the way. We forget, what makes us special and things that we've accomplished. And we just kind of put them aside because we're doing other things, or we don't believe in ourselves and we forget how to believe in ourselves. And when we talk about reinvention, it's so much more than that, because when we have this time and the space and the inspiration to figure out who we are and what we do and like what the thing that drives us, it's remembering and it's putting these pieces together. And we often find ourselves in middle age, reinventing ourselves for one reason or another, or doing something new. And what will come up is this imposter syndrome and this lack of confidence. I call it a confidence block, because we forget what we did. But then when we start to remember these things, it's like, whoa, everything I did for the last 30 years doesn't suck.
I did what? That's so cool that I did that.
I know. And then we are like, we come alive from remembering. And I'm not talking about like getting lost in the past and, burrowing into this, but just picking the pieces up that got us to where we are. And reminding us, like, you know what, you've accomplished a lot and this all meant something and this brought us here. So now what do we do with this, right? Like, what do we do with this to make us move forward in a different way? And through that process, there's this reclaiming. And in that process, that fear of visibility starts to go away. Because we remember who we are and we stand in our confidence and we get curious again. And that just lights me up.
Yes. I can see that in you, and I know that this is what's driven your entire project, and I love that. Yes. And I think, there's another, this idea that you're talking about, this reinvention, this kind of reconnection. for some of my clients, and I think also for me, there's also, it's not just remembering or reconnecting, it's almost like we're ready to shed some of the things that have been just, that we've been carrying, this the weight that we've been carrying of early adverse experiences that kind of
Yeah,
set these very limiting ideas about who we are and what we are capable of. And I think that once we get to a certain level of maturity, it's like you no longer, you suddenly realize, this is pretty heavy, and I'm kind of done with this thing right now. So
mhm,
I'm ready to just let that go. And what's
yeah,
possible then? And
yes,
that was just the exciting piece. I'm like, okay. And that gives us confidence when we, as well, when we're in that place. I'm like, oh my, oh my,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
It's
This
so
time, I'm gonna do
it's
this.
it's 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 just so rewarding when you start to see people shedding these things, and as
Mhm.
they're shedding, they're just lifting. It's like a self-lifting, and they're just kind of really settling into who they are, and, oh my god, I could watch that all day long.
Mhm, me too, yeah. It's
So
actually to see that kind of release, that freedom, that sort of inspiration coming all together.
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
is, it's amazing, and, like, we need to be able to lead from our place of strength, our place of power. Um, Today is actually World Ageism Day, and we need to stand up for each other too, because I mean, I sat down this morning and I was reading through this list of of facts about ageism, and it hits every part of our lives. And
Yes.
finances, and then how people invest, and health and wellness and jobs, and family structure. All of this is impacted, and it's built into our language, our conversations, our marketing, how companies invest in advertising. And we need to band together and be very vocal and lead from a place of we're not done yet. Um,
Absolutely.
and I mean, that was part of what drove me to start this whole thing in the first place. And we can do it. And
Absolutely.
we can totally do it, and,
Yeah.
we really need to stand for something, and I
Mm.
know that that's important in the work that you do as well, helping people kind of get behind, what they stand for, because that's another thing we forget about, like, what
Yeah.
really matters to us? What do we care about? And, like, do you wanna share a little bit about how you help people work through that, or maybe some of the, successes that you've seen people have as they work through that?
Yes, definitely. I think that, you know, when we spend years, decades just putting other people's needs first, which is a very normal thing to do, especially for women, especially for mothers, caretakers. Um, I think that you tend to forget, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really believe in? And what is it that I want to stand for? And I think everything really changes when you ask yourself that question. And then you really realize that, the rest of your life is really up to you.
Yeah,
And you can stand for something. You can affect some change. And I'm not talking like big scale change, although if that's you, please go for it. But
mhm,
I'm talking like small steps. I think each of us, I really deeply believe that each of us has that potential to lead.
yes,
And I think each and every one of us has the potential to make a difference. Just each interaction we have with another human being is an opportunity. And I don't think it matters, where you've come from, what your education level is, what your income level is, what your success level is. None of that matters. And I think that that is one of the things that holds so many people back, is thinking, well, I don't
mhm,
really have all those qualifications. I didn't really do all those things. And I think that that is a block that I think in a lot of my clients as well. It's like,
yeah,
well, you know, well, this person has a PhD and they're doing this thing. And so that means I couldn't possibly do that. And I'm just like, and I help my clients remember that none of that impacts your ability to make a difference. And I had a client who was younger. She was in her 30s, early 30s, and she really was crushed with this feeling like, I didn't get to finish university, but I have this, this drive to make a difference. And working with her through some of these big blocks around this idea, like I can't lead because I'm too small to show up, because, working through that, she, on the other side of that, coaching with me, she was able to create, a community that means so much to her and means so much to the people that are in it. And, she really is, wanting to drive social change. And she is, in her way with her community. And she's beginning to kind of think about, what could a career in social impact be for me? And she had, that just didn't even occur to her at the beginning. She's like, I couldn't possibly. And now she's like, oh no, what's possible? What can I do? And I just, yeah.
Yeah, you you lose that connection to possibility, and, I suffered from that for years because I was never formally trained in anything I do. I learned it from working, and I learned it from listening to what people needed, whether it was when I had a job or a business, and I was like, "Well, I can't do that because I was never trained in this," but, you know, I was doing the same thing everyone else was doing.
Yeah. I think this is such a common block. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
it so many times in different ways. But yeah, this idea, well, I couldn't possibly, but actually, maybe you can. And let's think
Maybe
about,
you already have.
yeah, exactly. Maybe you are already doing, and maybe you're undervaluing what you're already doing.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah, I mean, when I left my job, it took years for me to recognize what I was actually doing there, but I was doing organizational development. I mean,
yeah.
I was changing the structure of a 150-year-old law firm.
Hmm.
I had no idea what I was doing. I was working. I was fixing things that didn't work. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, and, I was paid very well, but I should have been paid twice what I was getting paid.
Hmm.
But
Another hot topic there, Donna.
can we keep going? Like how we undervalue ourselves,
Yes.
not just emotionally.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then that reflects, it's actually a really vicious cycle,
It is.
because we don't ask for what we deserve. We don't feel like we deserve it in the first place. And then that's what we get back a lot of the time. I'm like, well, yeah,
Okay,
if you
so
don't
can
ask, you don't receive. That's really a fundamental truth in life, unfortunately.
it is, and what I would love to do is transition this conversation from the negative to the
Yeah.
positive, and let's talk about, like, how being visible actually is healing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Um,
This is gonna turn into a master class, I think.
yes, I think yes. This is such a huge topic,
Yeah,
and it's something very close to my heart, because, you know, like you, I think our work is very much founded on the transformations that we have personally experienced, not just ones we've seen in our clients, but this is very much our own story.
yes.
So I know that when we're hiding, when we're feeling like we need to keep our professional faith on when we're at work, or just hiding in one way or another, like not promoting our work or promoting ourselves, or holding back, right? Just holding back. When we're doing that, it's extremely hard to build confidence. It's really hard to keep our positive momentum, that sense of progress, because you're just working flat out,
Mhm.
not getting the results that are proportional to the work that you're putting in. It's just because there's this kind of undercutting of energy that's happening all the time because you're always pulling back. Maybe you pull out and then you pull back, and people sense that. And it's and the minute that you are able to go, okay, I know. Let's see what happens. Let's see who listens. Let's try this. I think it feels very different. Like you start to see, you start to notice, oh, well, this person listened to what I had to say, or this person needed to hear what I had to say.
I helped.
And then it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, this matters.
Yeah.
This,
And it completes the circle.
yeah.
And, um, and we remember, I mean, through that, through doing the work, we remember all of these parts that helped along the way, or that we learned or we grew from, or it made us go deeper, get curious, find something else because we felt there was something more. And when you can pull all of those things together and then be bold and vulnerable at the same time, put it
Mm-hmm.
out there to the world and be intentional and speak to the right people, not
Mm-hmm.
just anyone, not come from the space of wanting to be an Insta celebrity, but of making a difference and of caring and of focusing on something that will matter, not only to you, but to others. It's just it is the highest form of self-love.
Yes, yes, I love that you just said that. Yes, because it really comes, your ability to do that really comes from being truly connected to yourself.
Mhm.
And that's a very different way of showing up and how you feel, right? When you're doing it as well.
And here's the other part too. I'm gonna just dip back into the money part for a minute. But when you operate from that level of integrity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sales changes. There is no sales process. There's
There is
no sales process.
no.
There isn't because people just feel connected to you. And if they need what you have, why would they not work with you? Why would they pay somebody else
Yeah,
to do what you
exactly.
just explained? And that's the sales process.
Exactly. It's like, well, you can help me with my problem or this thing that I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So, and
You
I vibe with
do.
you. So let's do this.
You already know who I am.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's very, very different than these horrible, like pushy sales scripts that I was first learning when I got into business. I was like,
Yeah.
not that I ever used them because I couldn't stand it, but
I tried because here's another piece. When you're
mhm,
not in this space of not be when you eliminate the fear of being visible,
yeah,
when you're in that space, you feel like somebody else has your answers. And you
yes,
go to the loudest person that you can find, which is often somebody who's waiting for you to show up as a new online business owner and has one business model that they're selling, and that's almost never the solution.
right, yeah.
We got some people here. Maggie
Oh,
is saying people buy from people.
yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Show up as a human being, not a funnel. Don't be a funnel.
yes. I think that we're also entering a phase now where everyone is so much savvier, right? They've experienced and they've heard a lot of this. So I know that the last time I was in a room with a Zoom room with somebody who started using that pitch, like these scripts, because I've seen them all. I've been in marketing a long time. I've seen them all. I've heard them all, and I start to hear it going, and I'm like, I'll stop you right there. Like I know what's coming, and we're not doing this. And I think I'm not the only one. I think there's, most people out there have heard it, have
Yeah,
experienced it, and it feels yucky. And none
yeah.
of us wants to be doing it, including the person who's reading the script, to be honest. And so,
Exactly, exactly. But this is it.
oh,
They're so stuck in not trusting themselves
exactly.
that they will do something that is against every bit of their being because somebody told them to do it. And, like when I work with clients, I ask them what they're doing, and then I'll ask, "Well, why are you doing that?" Because so and so, okay,
So,
let's hold on,
yes,
stopping
yes.
point. All right, what does it feel like to you on the other end of that? Oh, it doesn't feel good. Okay, will you do that again? Why was I doing that?
Yeah, but there is this unfortunate thing that happens when, especially in business owners when they're starting out, when they're
Yeah,
in launching phase and they're second guessing themselves, and they feel like, well, everyone else has all the answers, right? And so they get somewhere along the line, someone says, this is how you get clients, this is how you get working in the door. And so they do it. But yeah, nobody's enjoying that process. So
yeah.
I'm
I
very
I
much,
I was interviewed yesterday on a podcast, and, the host asked me, "What kind of advice would you give to a new business owner?" And I said, "Trust yourself.
mhm,
Don't
yeah.
subscribe to every list, just trust yourself."
Yeah. One of the things I say often to my clients is that you know more than you think. You
Yeah.
know more than you're allowing yourself to
Yeah.
realize. You know?
Yeah, and then, they get suckered into, oh, they need to do a whole brand and colors and logos. Don't spend any time with that. Get a website with your name or something close to it, because in the next 6 months to a year, everything is gonna change, because
Yeah.
you're gonna learn it's the biggest personal growth opportunity that you have starting a business, and
Yes.
when you hand that over to somebody else to lead, it's a mess. Like, don't even start with coaches yet, don't start with anything. Figure out what you could do,
Yeah.
get yourself familiar with you, and then reach out for help when you see where there are gaps, when you see where you need to learn more. But, become familiar with yourself first.
Yeah, that's very good advice. I think, there's always somebody out there who's going to tell you how to run your business and what you need to do now and what's next. And I think that this is what I see over and over again with clients who come to me is like, well, I signed up for this because I thought this was what I needed.
Mm,
And then they end up in a program, whether the program is good or not, if it's
mhm.
not aligned with you and what you actually need, it's the wrong thing at the wrong time is a complete waste of your time. And,
It
and,
is, and
and
and, we only have very limited resources, whether it be time or money or just bandwidth, and one wrong investment could be the end of your business.
Yeah, I've actually seen that before. People investing in these very big mastermind programs, and then it doesn't do what it says on the tin. And it's like, oh, this is tanks my business now. And I think that that's horrible to see that happen. But again, it comes from not having that confidence in yourself and getting pulled into something that you kind of know this isn't quite
Yeah.
right, but you feel like, oh, that that little voice that's telling you, you know what, I'm not sure about this. Always listen to it.
Yes, and that's just
Always.
it. Like, for the most part, we need so much less than we think we need, because we already have it. We already have everything we need, and we just need to learn how to communicate with what we have, share what we have, understand. I mean, this is the thing that I've been really focused on lately. Um, People don't understand who their clients are, and they
Mhm,
don't understand that an audience is not just a client. It's like you're dealing with so many different people. I mean, like, just look at us. I mean, we
mhm.
basically do the same thing. We do it differently, but we basically do the same thing. But I'm, like, thrilled to be able to share you here. There's no competition, and, like, why can't more people be like that? Why can't we just celebrate each other and learn from each other, even if we're doing the same exact thing? And, there's so much more value in that than there is in investing $25,000 in some canned coaching community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm all about collaborating and supporting one another.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that is so fulfilling. When you do it with an open heart and you are excited about it, it is so fulfilling to see the connections that arise from doing that.
yeah,
And I think, yeah, there's, when we think about also this kind of trying to bypass the difficult things like really knowing who is your person, who is your audience, who is it that you're, what is the thing that you can do that really is going to change people's lives.
Yes.
You know, the thing is that so many people sign up for something because they don't want to be uncomfortable. They want someone to say, here's the script, here's the easy thing, here you go, now go and do it, and you're going to grow your business. Unfortunately, like you said, Donna, business is an incredible personal growth opportunity, and it's going to be hard. There's going to be moments when it's hard. You know, sometimes getting to that place of success is hard. And it's not going to feel that easy, especially if the bigger the desire you have, the bigger the dream, the vision that you have that you're trying to realize, you're going to pick up some really big internal
Yeah.
stories and blocks. Something along the way is going to tell you you're reaching a lot further than you've ever done before. You know, are you sure that you're good enough for this? You know, it's all going to feel pretty sticky along the way. So,
And there's no checklist for that.
no,
And,
there really isn't.
and nobody's going to tell you what to do. What you need to do is go through it and
Yeah.
surround yourself with people that will inspire you and give you a hug.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what people really need, you know? I mean, like, I share all kinds of stuff and I can share all kinds of things, but I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
This is work you have to do yourself. I can be there cheering you on and say, you know, you can do this. And like, you know, maybe Nirvana's on the other side. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think so many people, it's a very natural thing, is that we're so afraid of messing up, right? We're so afraid of like, well, if I do this, you know, what if I fail? And I mean, it's a very, very normal instinct. But I think it's important for people to speak about this and say, you know what, I messed up, I survived, and I grew from it, and I'm so proud of the work that I did that got me through that, right? And I think when that's also some of them, that's also missing in a lot of stories that we hear. You know, everyone's always
Yeah.
like, just talk about the shiny side and yes, yes, there is a shiny side, but there is there is some work to be done.
Earned. It's earned. It's earned.
It's yes, exactly.
It's earned. When you're building something that you're building out of what you care about,
Yeah.
it's earned. And you know, there's not just one side to that coin. You have to be ready to face both sides. And I love that you brought up failure because I don't believe in it. I think it's a myth.
Yeah, I think it's
Uh,
yeah, and I think that actually redefining the idea of failure was a key moment in my entrepreneurship journey. You know, going from fear of failure to suddenly realizing, no, this is just a step. This is a step in the process, you know. And when you do that, when you redefine fear and you it doesn't have that grip on you that it used to, you discover the courage to go for what you really want.
yes, yes, yes.
That's transformative. Transformative.
It really is. I mean, I used to live in that fear. I worked in law firms for 25 years, if you want to talk about institutional fear. um, but when I learned that this is where the magic happens,
Yes.
well, when I see it coming, like I cheer it on. Most of the time, sometimes not, but most of the time, I cheer it on. I'm like, okay, so this is going to get interesting now. What does this mean?
And the more that you kind of trust the process, you know, when you hit a roadblock, it's like, okay, so you actually recover from it so much faster because you're like, okay, this is it. What do I learn from this? What do I need to do next? What's next?
Exactly. And I mean, if we're going to be really honest here, the process is really just trusting yourself.
Exactly. Back to that.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, because it is, and again, if you trust yourself right from the beginning of starting your business, you will not make these like choices of investment that you don't need. I don't wanna say that they're bad because 'cause they're not necessarily bad, but it's just not what you need, um, and if you just kind of let it lead you a little bit, be curious, see where it's going, listen to people, have conversations, find the people that you admire and that you trust.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've learned through next month will be 18 years doing this, is that the real leaders in this space will help you for free.
Hmm.
The real
Yeah.
leaders will be generous with what they know and what they've learned.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. Definitely. And I think that that generosity, that wanting to lift people up who are at the beginning of their journey, who are figuring things out, that is a, you know, that impulse when you feel it in someone else who's leaning in to help you, it it changes the energy completely in you, and then it's that kind of that ripple effect, because then you're so much more likely to do the same thing when you're in a position to do so.
Exactly, exactly. And, we really do need to support each other.
Mhm.
Community, I mean, COVID has taught us this. Community is critical, whether it's virtual or in real life. And
Yeah,
we need to surround ourselves with the best people.
yeah, yeah. In fact, and I think one of the things to add on to that, Donna, that I would love to remind people is I think sometimes my clients come to me and they're listening and following so many people. And when that's the case, they start to say things like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm feeling so overwhelmed about what my next step should be. And one of the pieces of advice I give at that time, if you're one of those people and you're listening to this, I would recommend just choose 5 people at the most that you trust.
Mhm,
And it doesn't mean you never listen to anyone else again, but just right now, just listen
mhm.
to 5 people who are resonating with you right now, and just unsubscribe from the rest for just now. And so much clarity comes from that, Nick.
It's so
Really.
true. It's so true. When AI hit the scene, I
Mhm.
realized that this was gonna be a big part of what I do because it simplifies a lot of the work that I do on the research side. But I wanted to be very clear about who I was and how I was, showing up in the AI landscape and what I was teaching people and how I was using it. So I just stopped and I listened, and I made a list of, like, what's the criteria of somebody who is an expert in this field for me? And what I did was I found a handful of people that were doing this before ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and that people that made sacrifices because they believed in the technology when nobody else did, and those are the people I learned from. And
Hmm.
you cannot pull me into a bright, shiny object with AI. It's not possible, okay? Because I'm so rooted in what I believe to be true about these tools,
Hmm.
um, that I can't be swayed.
Yeah.
And it's such a grounding feeling, and when you can do that with everything that you do,
Yeah.
it helps build that trust with yourself, that confidence within yourself,
Hmm. Oh
um,
yeah.
because you can't be bullshitted.
It's so true, Donna. That is so true.
You just can't. And that's not to say I have all the answers, I don't have all the answers, nobody has all the answers, but I am really clear in what I believe.
Exactly. Huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
can't believe we've gone over a half an
No,
hour.
I'm so sorry. Oh, we could chat all day,
We'll
actually.
go for a few days here. Oh my god.
This was just warm up.
Yeah, that was we need to do this again, but I'd like to end these conversations with a wisdom bomb, and, what do you want people to know about being visible that maybe somebody won't tell them, you know? That it was something that you see that, you know that could be easily fixed.
Wait, can you repeat that last bit you just said?
Yeah, what do you want people to know that people don't ordinarily tell them about visibility? That can be easily fixed. Something you see come up time and time again.
I think one of the things that I see time and time again are people, because of the self-doubt, the very natural self-doubt that comes up. A lot of people are comparing themselves to other people. They're going out and reading everybody else's website, everyone else's Instagram feed, and they're doing it for inspiration, or so they think, and then that oftentimes starts to fuel that voice of, do you really think you're good enough? Or do you think that you're as good as they are? And I think that imposter syndrome can get really activated. And I think the piece that I would say is, you become confident by listening to your own story and finding the pieces that reflect on your deepest values, the things that mean the most to you. And when you hone in on those, it starts to become very clear on what is the next action you need to take.
Yes. Yeah.
You need to calm down the noise because it takes a minute to do that, but that is it.
It is. And then when you do that, other people hear you. The noise goes away for them too.
Yes. Exactly.
And that really is the key to everything.
Yeah. There's almost like and I know this will happen to everyone here. You get onto somebody's workshop or their podcast or their website, and you start to read their words, you start to listen to them, and you have almost like a physical response. Like there's a part of you that just goes, that is a really good thing to listen to. When you feel that kind of, yes, that is that kind of breath of fresh air that you need. And that calming feeling is a really empowering moment in your journey, for sure.
It is. It is. Oh, what a great way to end this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And everybody connect with Nathalie. Here's her website, storytonic.co. She's brilliant. I love what she's saying. I obviously love what she's doing. And she's also on the Real 50 Over 50 webpage. And we will be back next week with more interviews. And if you're listening on the replay, tag us in the comments with questions or anything you want to ask or anything you want to add to the conversation. And let's keep it going. Thank you and have a great Wednesday.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much for hosting this amazing show.